Hello and welcome back to Talon 101. It's time to cover the punch parry. That's right. The first thing you need to know about this punch parry is that it can now be done off back 1 plus 3 and back 2 plus 4. Before, this input used to be back 1 plus 2, and every time you try to mash one back 1 plus 2, if you're coming from Tekken 7, you'll always get Stealth Needle, Hwoarang's panic move back 1 where he sidesteps towards the right. So don't make that mistake. It's back 1 plus 3 or back 2 plus 4. And you can do it in RFF. You just gotta cancel out of RFF because anytime you do it in right foot forward and you press back 1 plus 4 or back 1 plus 3 or back 2 plus 4, you'll always get the grab. And this grab will always become Jackknife, the throw that is a 1 plus 2 break. Very, very strong throw. But yes, you would always have to cancel out of RFF first in order to do the punch parry. And the main thing about this punch parry is it is now a staggering +9. I mean that in a bad way-ish because before, this punch parry used to be +14, where an up forward 3 plus 4 was guaranteed. And, well, you don't get it anymore. You don't get a guaranteed 4-3, you don't get a guaranteed up forward 3 plus 4, you don't get a guaranteed DF1-3, or a guaranteed 4-4. All we get now, or all Hwoarang gets, is what he inherited from his master, the follow-ups. Or the follow-up kicks, which was Bex SS 3 plus 4. But yeah, it's now a follow-up for his punch parry. So the first thing about this follow-up is that it knocks down the opponent on hit. You get 28 damage. And if you are close to the wall, right? And you parry, it will splat the opponent and you can get a full combo off it. Full wall combo off it. In general, you're getting roughly 64 damage. So that's your ballpark in terms of range. And that's great. And it will also like break balconies, break walls, etc. Stuff that are applicable. And the Okizeme on this follow-up is very favorable. So like, if we do a really basic option, right? And we're gonna go through all this Oki, you'll notice that, you know, you don't really lose much out of it. So if you dash into an FF3, well, they're going nowhere, and then they gotta think about RFF DF3 and FF4 and every other move in RFF for the most part. So that's typically how your opponent would be waking up. But if we change this to quick recovery, this is when timing is very important because you can trade with your opponent. You can also win if you move a little bit faster. Like so. Oh well, lose. That's lose. This one is win. Win. There you go, win. And then if you do back quick roll, or if the opponent does back quick roll, then yeah, you'd have to like dash even more. Because if I use the timing from earlier against the tech rolls, this is what's gonna look like. So you can apply that timing of the back quick roll on top of all the other 3 options, and you'll be catching them for the most part. Maybe trading or losing to quick recovery, but you'll be catching tech roll left, tech roll right, and back quick roll. Now we change this to stand up. And we follow up after the parry. Well, again, still a very favorable situation. And this is just like generic Oki. Like, there's a lot you can do in this situation as you are like pretty much +17 on hit. That's a lot of frames to work with. Which is that we're selecting FS3 here because it would hit grounded for the most part. They're hitting side roll left, but you saw it earlier, like it lost. So your timing is very important. Now against the wake up mid kicks, that hits there. Move on to wake up low. Boom. And that's a favorable +7 scenario on hit. Okay. The wake up, the quick kick can win depending on like how fast you do this. And then spring kick. Okay, that is short. But if we add another dash, you can win. So yeah, that's just generic FF3. Like, there's like other stuff you can do. Like you can like wave afterwards. And like trade with a wall standing 4, even like get wall standing 4. You can do stuff like down back 4 as well. So let's bring this back to tech roll, right? Just to showcase how it would look like. Like that's a favorable Oki into down back 4, or even stand switch into RFF DF3. Like you have a lot of freedom to choose what kind of Okizeme you want after the follow-up, which is great. Besides it, giving you a full combo at the wall. So in open space, great Okizeme and 28 damage on top of it. And then at the wall, 28 damage plus 64. Yeah, it's pretty good. Plus Okizeme, depending on like which combo ender you do. So if it's like a running 3, you get like the 50-50 Oki, etc. Now, how to use this punch parry? It's very tricky now. Very tricky application because you cannot use it at an advantage. It's just really, you just can't because they changed the way the parry works. So if you are at a major advantage plus 8, you'll see like the opposing Hwoarang's jab takes forever to come out. So at that point, just like use your plus frame. So like if you know your opponent's gonna press a button, just go for it, right? So let's change it to on block. Let's say you do LFS 1, you're plus 5 and you try to punch parry. As you can see, you still lose to the opponent's jab. We can even change this to a slower move, a slower jab. So let's say the opposing Hwoarang does a DF1, a 13 frame move, and well, you're still gonna get hit. So generally, if you are plus, you cannot, well, use it for the most part. It's not advisable to use this move. Even at 0, you see? Like, standing 2 puts you at 0. We can't punch parry a DF1 immediately. You'd have to change your timing. See, I had to like wait a half second in order to do that, but that's very tricky when you're doing parries. So if we change this back to a jab and you go for a 2 jab into a parry, okay, now that works. So now it becomes very specific. Which jab can you, or which punch can you parry? So at 0 on block, you can punch parry a standard jab, but you can't punch parry a DF1, a 13 frame mid. And a lot of characters in this game would probably challenge you with a 13 frame mid in certain situations like on -1. And speaking of -1, this is the frames it typically works in. Your parry will activate on time with your opponent's 13 frame punch or jab at -1 all the way up to -3. It works easily there. Every time you do a DF1, anytime you do a flying eagle, that's a free punch parry attempt for you to do. Even, what do you call this? 2F4, as that is -2 or -1 at the wall, then you can like punch parry and get a free follow-up. That's how it works in left foot forward. Now in right foot forward, it's a bit different. Like you can actually do it at +5 when that wasn't advisable for left foot forward. Why? Because you'd have to cancel right foot forward first in order to do the punch parry. So the frames are being eaten up so that you're allowed to parry at the same time the opponent does their move. So you can choose any right foot forward situation for the most part, and you would get your parry, typically. Like maybe a good 80% of the time. But again, you make sure you're canceling it first, because if you don't, and you press back 2 plus 4 or back 1 plus 3, you're going to get jackknife. That's pretty much how this parry works in general. So explore more in the lab on like what you can do with this brand new punch parry and use it in different scenarios that you can get favorable Oki. And if you are against characters like Steve, well, you can make them second guess checking you as you do your move, which is, I guess, the whole point of the parry. So again, that has been the lesson for this video. Yeah, I've been Frontier, and thank you for watching.